Hey there, it's Jenny, FitMom MD, and I am super excited to talk with you today about my sleep routine. Now, this is not just going to be your typical sleep hygiene strategies. Here's what you should be doing. You can get that on lots of other videos. Maybe sometime I'll do a video about that in the future. But what I want to talk about now is just simply how I have found a sleep routine that works for me, that actually helps me to sleep better as a mom and a doctor who actually works night shifts. So I'm constantly switching between nights as a doctor and days as a mom, and I have to be, obviously on my game for both of those things, and I need enough sleep. And after 3 years now of doing this schedule, I feel like I finally got things dialed in a way that really works for me and for my family and for my job. So I really want to share these details with you guys. I also love this topic because I've always been the one, through med school and college and all these times, I never got a lot of sleep. And to be honest, I am a person that can function on less sleep than other people. But as I've gotten older, I have realized that is not always the best thing. And I've started noticing that my lack of sleep is catching up with me and that I do so much better when I do prioritize it. So this topic is really important to me, and I hope that you will take away a few things that can make your sleep better. And if you work nights like I do, please, by the way, say hello if you're in the same boat as I am with night shifts. I hope you'll take away some tips for your night shifts as well. So there are actually 10 things that I want to share that have helped me. 4 of them are just simply things about the timing of how I do my sleep when I'm doing night shifts. And then the other 6 are things that anybody can use, whether you're sleeping in the day or the night or whatever. So to start with, when I am going to do night shifts, here's the first thing I have learned. I need to pre-sleep for my nights. So that means if I'm going to start a stretch of nights, I try to get a couple extra hours of sleep during the day leading up to that. I used to try to do this in the afternoon, like take a nap from 3 to 5. And what I learned about my body, and not everyone's this way, is that if I do that, I simply, I can't sleep. Like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not going to fall asleep very easily. So what I do now, and I'm fortunate that my husband's a stay-at-home dad, so he can help me with this, is he watches the kids in the morning and tries to keep them a little bit quiet so I can get a couple extra hours of sleep in the morning. I usually sleep, try to get like 9 to 10 hours of sleep that day. So from the night before all the way through until maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. And I find that if I can stay asleep then the following night on my first night shift, when I'm hitting that time at 3 a.m. where I'm really tired, I feel a little bit better. Some people find it's easier to sleep in the afternoon closer to your shift, but like I said, for me, that just doesn't work. So pre-sleep, get some extra sleep in there, okay? It makes such a difference. The next thing that I do is I make sure the following morning after my shift that I go to sleep as soon as possible after it is over. I find that if I kind of start reading stuff or working on my business or doing videos like this, and then try to sleep, it's much harder to fall asleep as the day goes on. Whereas if I just, as soon as my shift is over at 7, as quickly as possible, get some sleep, I find that I can stay asleep much better, or I can fall asleep much better, I should say. So that's a really important tip. The third thing is that I set a goal for myself for my sleep during those days. And for me, again, I can function, I think I'm pretty happy around 7 hours of sleep, maybe 8 hours of sleep. Everyone's different. You have to see what works for you. But so during the stretch of nights when things are a little bit busier for me and my family, I'm pretty happy if I'm getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep. So if I'm falling asleep at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting up around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And I find that works well for me, but I keep that, I keep track of that so that I know that I'm not just falling behind on my sleep. And then the last thing I do is when I finish my final day of my work stretch, usually I work anywhere from 2 to 5 days in a row. When I finish that up, then often I'll sleep a little bit less, maybe more like 5 hours instead of 6 or 7, get up, and then I have my afternoon and evening with my family, and then I go right to sleep at the same time that night. And for me, I'll tell you in a minute how I kind of make sure that I can fall asleep, even though I've been on nights the whole time. But that really helps me. Then I just get a nice night's sleep, making up for any hours I may have lost while I was on nights, wake up the next morning early with my kids. And I feel a little groggy, but I, for the most part, can then just hop right back onto a day's schedule. So those are my 4 tips for if you're working nights and you're switching back and forth, how I get that done. And it's really worked well for me to make those things a priority. And I let other things slide. Like sometimes I'll skip a workout, let some emails sit for an extra day so I can protect those aspects of my sleep. Okay, so now for the fun part. So my sleep routine. This is the same routine that I use whether I'm sleeping in a call room at my job, whether I am sleeping at home, whether I'm traveling, whatever. And I found that having a consistent set of things that I do before I sleep has made a huge difference in helping me fall asleep and stay asleep. So I'm gonna skip past the part where you like wash your face and do your skincare. That's a whole nother video. And to be honest, I'm still kind of working on figuring out my perfect skincare routines and stuff, but I'll be sure to share with you guys when I get it sorted out. Okay, so now for the really fun part where I'm going to share with you exactly what I do to help myself fall asleep and stay asleep, whether I'm sleeping in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever I need to sleep. With my crazy schedule, this has really helped me. And I think having a consistent set of things that you do before you sleep will really help you as well. So take some notes. Some of this may or may not work for you, but give it a shot. All right, so the first thing that has really helped me actually is this Apple Watch. So it seems silly, but I actually wear my Apple Watch to bed. So I charge it while I'm like showering or, while I'm, getting ready to go to bed. It charges pretty quickly, but I always wear it while I sleep, and I have an app on here called Auto Sleep that I use. And it's great because as soon as you have your watch on, it automatically is tracking you. So it tells your movements, it can tell if you're touching your phone, and it can tell when you sleep. And it can tell how deeply you're sleeping, how long it takes you to fall asleep, every time you're woken up. It just tracks it all automatically. You don't even think about it. So I absolutely love that because then I know, like I told you guys, I have a goal, so I know. So I absolutely love that app. Plus, I like to be able to see how much deep sleep I'm getting. It also gives me a sleep goal, and it tells me when I need to get to bed the next night to achieve my goal. And it's just really, it tracks everything. So it's great. Love that. The other thing I love about my Apple Watch is I actually use it as my alarm. So I don't have to look at my phone when I wake up and use my phone as the alarm. It's my watch, and it's set so it vibrates. So it simply vibrates on my wrist when it's time to wake up. So it's a very nice, quiet way to wake up. It's very effective. And then the other thing I do is I swipe up on here and I hit the do not disturb before I go to sleep. And so then I know that if I'm sleeping in the middle of the day, lots of people are going to try to call me or text me or whatever. I'm not going to get woken up at noon while I'm trying to sleep post-call by some kind of unimportant message, and then it's going to ruin my sleep for the rest of the day. I do have it set up so that like if my husband calls or other very important people that they can get through so that I don't miss anything, urgent. But this Apple Watch, that's my tip number 5. It has made such a difference with the app Auto Sleep on there. It's just for me, and I even have like a soft wristband so it's not too uncomfortable to sleep with. Highly recommend trying that out. If you're like me and you love data and you just love having things be simple, it's really great. So number 6 is my melatonin. So you've probably heard of this, obviously. The thing that melatonin is great for, and I'm not saying this as a doctor, I'm not a sleep specialist, but I'm just telling you this is my personal experience, is for helping you fall asleep. So it kind of makes you drowsy and sleepy. Technically, you should take it a little bit before you want to go to sleep, but what I do is I wait till the end of my shift and then I take it. And I got these 1 milligram tablets a long time ago because I wasn't sure what dose would be right for me. I usually end up taking about 3 or 4 milligrams and it helps me fall asleep. And some people think it helps you stay asleep longer, and I'm not sure, but I will say that I find if I sleep, if I use this when I sleep during the day, I don't have that thing where I wake up 4 hours later after my first sleep cycle ends and I'm like awake at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I can't get back to sleep for the rest of my time. So I think it does help. I also feel like when I look at my Auto Sleep app that I actually get more deep sleep when I use this than if I don't. But I do take it, and then the great thing about this is then that last night of work, I work, and then I was telling you guys I get back onto the day schedule, so I need to go to bed that night. So I may not be that tired if I've worked 4 or 5 night shifts, right? My body's thinking it's time to stay awake. But this melatonin really helps me get into the zone of falling asleep at 10 p.m., the night, switching back. So love this stuff. This is just dissolving tablets that I get on Amazon. And so I do that. And then, this isn't really a tip other than I always brush my teeth. So I carry this stuff with me. I don't know if I showed you that this cute little bag that I carry all these things in. So I have them with me when I'm at work. I got this from a medical conference that I went to, and it's totally perfect. The next thing I do is I put on my hand lotion. I love this O'Keeffe's Working Hands. If you work in the hospital, you know how your hands get so dry with like washing your hands so frequently. This is the best stuff because it makes your hands really nice and smooth, but it doesn't make them greasy. Just love this stuff. So I put this on before I go to sleep a lot of times because that's so dry. And then I put, a lot of times I put this little lip treatment on, it's a deep lip treatment if my lips are chapped. And then my favorite sleep mask. I love sleep masks. I think everyone should have a sleep mask. So this is the one I started with when I started on nights. I got it on Amazon. They're nothing fancy, guys. This one certainly isn't. It's falling apart. But I like it because it has, you can see it's kind of set so that it holds the mask away from your eyes. So it's kind of a little bit more comfortable. And like if you have mascara on like I do, it doesn't smudge it as much. So this is great. Literally it was not expensive on Amazon. And then after a few years of being a nighttime doctor, I upgraded to this. It's called this, the brand is Slip. It's a silk sleep mask. And by the way, guys, I'm a small little operation here. I'm not getting any sort of kickbacks or referrals or these are not sponsored things. This is just stuff that I like. This is the Slip silk sleep mask. It is not cheap, but I just love the feeling of the soft silk on my face, and I've heard that it's good for like your lines and wrinkles and stuff. So anyway, I treated myself to this and I love it. I also have one of their silk pillowcases on my bed at home. But so I always put my eye mask on, and then last but not least, especially if I'm at home and my kids are around, the hospital call rooms are actually pretty quiet, but at home it's noisy. So then I use my earplugs. And honestly, I like the cheap little foam throwaway ones that you get for like from like an airplane, like, you know, when you're on the airplane, or I think these I got when I was at spin class, because the music in there gets kind of loud for people. But I've purchased more expensive, fancy, heavy duty ones on Amazon before, and they honestly really hurt my ears. These are just perfect. They're not too intense. So I'll put these on as well, especially if I'm home, like I was saying. And it's not the most comfortable, but it does help a lot. So by the time I finished up so the last 6 things, so the first 4 things, like I mentioned, were timing things. The last 6 are just things that anybody could do to make their sleep better and more consistent. All right, so that's it. So just to really quickly recap the 10 things that have made sleep work so much better for me with my crazy schedule. So we'll start with pre-sleep before your night shifts. If you work night shifts, get those extra couple hours, preferably first thing in the morning versus in the afternoon. Next thing, get to sleep right after your shift as soon as possible to take advantage of those circadian rhythms and earlier in the morning. Next, after that, make sure that you set yourself a goal that works for you for how much sleep you're going to get each of those nights, and prioritize that over other things during the time that you're on those night shifts. And then the next thing is after your shifts, sleep maybe a little bit shorter that last day, and then go to bed at the usual time so you can flip back to a day schedule. And then the next 6 are things that you can do every time you go to sleep, whether home or work or anywhere, to really give your mind and your body the triggers that it's time to sleep. So the first one was, I use my Apple Watch. So I'm tracking my sleep with that auto sleep app. And I'm also setting an alarm for when I'm going to wake up that's going to vibrate on my wrist. And I'm putting myself on Do Not Disturb. Because most everything can wait while you're sleeping, right? Next, after that, taking melatonin, anywhere from 1 milligram up to 5 milligrams, depending on the person. I like to take about 3. I would start low with that if you try that out, so you're not too groggy afterward. And then after that was I go brush my teeth. That's obvious, of course, but I like to do that before I go to bed. I'll admit I don't always wash my face or my makeup off, especially if I'm at work, but I always brush my teeth. And then after that, we put on hand lotion, lip treatment, because it gets really dry around here, especially working in the hospital. And then face mask, and then earplugs if needed. And I'll tell you what, I do this at home and at work, and it makes such a difference. So let me know below any of these tips that you already do or that you're gonna implement. Let me know if you're a night shift worker like me. I love to meet other people who have these crazy schedules. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications down below. I'm going to be putting out new content every single week about health and fitness and organization and time management and details and routines, all the things I love. So be sure to subscribe so that you can see those videos when they pop up. Please also let me know if there's any topics that you're dying to hear about, because I love ideas, I love questions. So share below or shoot me an email at jenny@fitmommd.com. And I hope that this is helpful, and I hope you have an awesome, awesome week. Bye.